Well, hi guys, welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Midday Market Mood Check with me, Nandita Khemka, and my colleague Yatin Mota. Well, Yatin, we have slipped to the low point of the day after a positive open below that 19,750 mark as we speak. And the Sensex is also down somewhere around 150 points or thereabouts. The big culprit, really, I think, is the Nifty Bank Index that has slumped over 300 points. In fact, it's very close to that support level, being flagged off by the analysts of 43,300 level now. Crucial levels there may get breached on Nifty Bank Index today. Of course, there are certain comments coming in from the RBI governor at the IBA and FICCI annual press conference, annual conference rather, that is being organized by IBA and FICCI. And the RBI governor has flagged off certain contagion risks for banks and NBFCs. He's said that, banks and NBFCs must strengthen their asset liability management. In fact, he's also pointed out that banks are well capitalized, but they must evaluate from time to time their exposure to NBFCs, right? These are the comments that have kind of weighed heavy on the Nifty Bank Index. So some of these private banks like ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank, all of these names are among the top losers on the index today. And of course, if you look at the mid-cap and small-cap indices, both were in the red, but small-cap index was underperforming, down somewhere around 1% or thereabouts. But I think before we talk about the market action, let's talk about the Tata Tech IPO, right? Within an hour of opening, I think the entire IPO was fully subscribed. A lot of demand coming in from HNIs as well as QIBs, right?
Yeah, and that is expected. Whenever Tata Group company lists, a lot of interest is there. So I think people have hurriedly put their IPO application, given the fact that they also know that there will be a huge rush when it comes to the IPO application process. So yes, a good response, and in fact a lot of these IPOs, 5 of them, most of them have a subscribe rating and most of them should get good subscription numbers. So probably the kind of IPO gush that we are looking at Dalal Street, a lot of things are happening quite quickly. And that also partly explains the market, decline today, because most of the liquidity that the retail investors, HNIs, have would be used in the IPO application process. So a temporary blip in the small and mid-cap indices. Mid-cap index is flat and small-cap, as you mentioned, down by almost 1.25%.
Right. I want to also point out Tata Motors has hit a fresh record high today, but I think it has slipped post that. But let's also see that CLSA has retained its buy rating on the stock, has raised the target price to 841 rupees per share now. And remember, Tata Motors, of course, will be offloading somewhere around 4.6 crore rupees in the Tata Tech IPO as well. Aside of that, what's buzzing is BPCL in a weak market. This stock is up 3%, given the fact that the board will be, mulling interim dividend on the 29th of November. This comes 3 weeks after the company reported its numbers. So that's one stock that's buzzing from the large cap end of the markets. Other movers, Yatin, if you look at some of the gainers, aside of BPCL, you have Cipla, Power Grid, you have a Hero Motocorp as well as Dr. Reddy's on the gaining end. On the flip side, as I mentioned, banks not doing all that well. IndusInd Bank, Kotak Bank, ICICI Bank, all of them in the red. M&M continues to lose, and Adani Ports is the other one that's losing in trade. But yeah, then IDBI Bank, of course, that stock was down 3% today. There's been a trigger, right, on that front.
Yeah, I think DIPAM has scrapped the entire process of appointing a valuer, and this is an important step in the divestment of IDBI Bank's stake of the Government of India and LIC. So it's temporary thing because DIPAM has said. Their officials have been saying that this process will be reinitiated with some relaxed norms. So probably things should move again for IDBI when it comes to appointing the valuer. Apart from IDBI, the mid-cap end of the market is quite active. CG Power, that stock has hit a 20% upper circuit after they announced a foray into the semiconductor testing space. Semiconductors has been a talking point of a lot of corporates, and CG Power's foray would mean that the Murugappa Group is looking at strategic tie-up when it comes to the semiconductor business. After that, not only CG Power but the holding company TI in India, which is Tube Investments, that stock is up 13% now. Carborundum Universal, another group company, is up 6%. So the entire Murugappa Group stocks are in focus after the semiconductor news. New India Assurance are the other gainers in terms of the PSUs, which are moving in trade today, 5.5% up. What's not doing well is Jindal Saw, that stock is down 5%. Motilal Oswal, Suzlon, the likes of BSC, all of them are looking down in trade. In fact, KPIT Technologies again is down another 4% in trade. Raymond, after the tussle between Gautam Singhania, who is the promoter of the company, and the divorce issue, probably weighing on the stock, down 4%. IDBI as we speak is down 3.5%. So yes, a lot of movers and shakers in trade today. But clearly, stock of the day is Tube Investments of India.
Right, Yatin. Also, what's I think weighing down a little bit on the sentiment is the fact that global cues have turned negative this morning. Last night we saw Wall Street snapping out of a 5-day gaining streak. FOMC minutes were released, and there was clearly no mention of a rate cut or a pivot at the current juncture. And the Fed is, of course, progressing with caution. And it looks to keep interest rates higher for longer that it had indicated earlier. So of course that is something that came out as a dampener. But of course December meeting a pause is kind of factored in. But when will the first rate cut come? That is something that of course investors will be keenly watching out for. But aside of that, I think we mentioned most of the movers and shakers in trade today. Of course, Tata Tech IPO continues to be the topic of the day. But of course, lots of other movers and shakers in trade. We'll be taking stock of some of them at 3:30 p.m. as well on closing bell. So tune in for that. But for now, it's a goodbye from me and Yatin. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned to Money Control for all your other news and updates.